Welcome to Win with Richardson and Richardson. What's important now? Success in business most often comes down to hard work, not by silver bullets and quick fixes. It's knowing where to focus that hard work that's key to winning. Join sales prospecting expert and 3-time seven-figure business founder Carrie Richardson and managing partner of R&R Consulting and former owner of Doberman Technologies, Ian Richardson, for radical honesty regarding strategic planning, accountability, and execution that will get you the systematic results you're working toward. Let's get into today's episode. Thought leader and your host, Carrie Richardson.
Hello and welcome to Win. I'm Ian Richardson, your host from Richardson and Richardson Consulting, and today I'm joined by Leia Shilobod from Intech Solutions Incorporated. Leia, how are you today?
I'm fabulous, Ian. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for taking some time. I know that you've been on the road recently, and that is always draining. Leia's the CEO of Intech Solutions. She's also known as the IT Princess of Power. She's authored 2 books and has starred in a documentary around cybercrime called The Dark Web Uncovered that we'll be diving into a little bit later on today's show. She's a highly sought-after cybersecurity advisor and has been asked to speak and share insights at major venues, including Harvard, IUP, Catalyst Connection, and has routine appearances at accounting, manufacturing, and IT industry events. She saves mid-market firms from hackers and keeps them compliant by delivering enterprise-class IT security solutions that would otherwise break the bank. It would be cost prohibitive. Leia, viewers want to know, listeners want to know, how do you recover from conferences? Because we all have our methodologies.
I have to nap. So one of the things I actually did this afternoon is I took an hour, and I always feel a little guilty, but legitimately I wasn't going to be doing any good work. So I set my alarm for 60 minutes and I took a nap. And then I'll make sure that I actually do go to bed early tonight. And then I'll probably sleep on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I feel that in my soul. The power of a well-timed hour nap cannot be overestimated. And it's way better than like ODing on coffee, which is my usual methodology.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I end up just shaking and my rear end is dragging. So the nap is, my body needs rest, clearly.
100%. I feel you down to my toes. So we always talk through certain segments on Win here. We follow a formula because I'm a process guy and I like to geek out and do things the exact same way every single time. And the process we follow is challenge, achievement, opportunity. And this is an entrepreneurial podcast, so we're talking through business challenges, business achievements, business opportunities. And you had a real interesting challenge that you and your team are working on. And it's kind of a 2-parter. You've been going through a transition period at Intech. You bought out your business partner. You've taken sole control of that business, as well as bringing on multiple new team members at the same time. Talk to us about the challenge of moving out that key business individual who's been involved in setting up the infrastructure, involved in building the business from the ground up, as well as bringing on multiple engineers and juggling the tasks of bringing those engineers in, getting them used to doing things the Intech way, focused on the Intech core values and driving towards the Intech mission and vision and values. So talk to us about that.
All right. That's a great question, Ian. So I started this business 16 years ago, and with that same business partner who built a lot of our infrastructure, engineered most of the solutions that we were deploying out to clients. And then as time went on, it was an unhappy marriage, and it was clear that this needed to change in order for our company to really move forward. Also, I'm fairly certain that he was really burnt out on trying to build a company, because this is not for the faint of heart. I mean, I have a sickness that is, I build businesses and I love it, and I will never, ever, ever recover from this sickness. But we're not all built like this, and that does wear on you over time. So, the buyout finally occurred in May of this year, and that was very stressful in general, because even though sometimes you have to do something, but the process of going through it is incredibly painful and heart-wrenching, and so there was some drama surrounding that, which made it very difficult. And then afterwards, he had difficulty trying to figure out how to transition himself out. So I did that for him by firing him. And that was several months later. And when the person who built everything has all of the passwords, something's not documented. And we did go through a process. We went through a very long process of building a separation plan. He didn't know that I needed to do this. I mean, really, we all needed it, right? But it was actually really interesting, because we had to think of all of the things and do them all at once. Have a very large plan. Certain members of my team, including myself, were responsible for things when it was like, it's go time. It's time to separate. And I learned a lot. We actually improved some of the processes we have for our clients. And of course, it was emotionally stressful to tell him, to make the phone call and say, this is it, we're done. And at first, it felt very, I thought that I would just like fly, right? Because there was this big thing that I felt like was holding me back, but I found myself actually floating for a bit instead. I think it was because I was used to this stress, this thing, and it wasn't there anymore. Even though it was like a good thing, it's like sometimes in your life when you make a positive change, and this is actually, Ian, one of the reasons why I think a lot of us don't make that positive change that you have to, is because you're used to the pain. And even though you're like, why do you want the pain? The pain, this is a bad thing. It's like, it's almost like you're stuck in this insanity, but it's familiar, right? So we were able to get past that, and then I didn't have a lot of time to not. I had to get my footing very quickly, because I onboarded 4 team members in the 6 weeks after that. Two higher level members, and then 2 entry level members. And it was so interesting that you said, because we didn't actually talk about the core values together beforehand, but one of the things that at this time I can tell had a huge impact when I was onboarding these new members is that I actually sat with each one of them individually, one-on-one, and we reviewed our core values together. We actually call them the principles, and there's 7 of them. I one-on-one, I described what they were, and we actually had like the name of the value, and then like a description of what this looks like, and some details about it. And I went through and I explained this, and this is what it would look like in our company alive. And this is an example of like when somebody was not aligning with this, and what we did to get them realigned. I've noticed it has had a huge impact. Not having that person who, my ex-partner who, was not following some of these values, his absence, and then that one-on-one time of explaining that this is our culture and this is how we do things, it has made a huge difference. They've learned faster. They refer back to the principles. They are much more aligned. And then that has, so even it was like 4 new team members, and on a small team of like 11 people, that's a lot of people who are new.
Oh, yeah.
But it has made a huge impact with their onboard, their willingness to learn, and also asking questions, which is huge in the learning process.
Yeah, being able to use mission, vision, values. Those are being being a strategy consultant, it's interesting how often they become segmented into it's this thing on the website, it's the thing in the like the first 5 pages of our corporate manual, our mission, vision, and values, but then the loss of utilization of those tools, and that's what they are, a mission statement or core values are tools for the business to inspire and motivate and lead and direct and filter
Yes.
Clients and staff and decisions. And if your team gets those values imparted to them by the owner, by the entrepreneurial leader, and it's like look, these are who we are. And if you make a decision that is in alignment with these values, even if it's not the decision that I would have made, it's still a correct decision. It might not have been the best one, and we'll talk about how we could optimize, but you still made the right decision. If you did right by the values, you're never in trouble. And that gives almost a permission to make mistakes, because the mistakes are always going to be limited. Those values, if they're like, all right, do these violate the principles?
Right.
If it didn't violate the 7 principles, there's no way they did harm. There's no way that they did harm.
Yeah. And I told them, I said that what you don't understand, and I say this on a regular basis, I'm like, you don't understand, you have to understand this. If there's ever a problem, the answer is in these. The answer is here. If you're frustrated, if you're angry, if you're confused, if you are having a conflict with a client or with another team member, the answer is in the principles, period.
I love that. I love that. I love that intentional strategic focus. It's such a key piece. And then the experience too. I love that you mentioned we went back and modified our process and are able to use that for clients. That's such a key impact when it comes to business continuity planning, which is a huge part of your world, which we'll dive into CMMC later, which is a real big specialty for you and your team at Intech, that business continuity and continuity of an organization, regardless if a key individual is taken out or a key individual has to transition out, is such a key portion of planning, and having a battle proven process where, hey, here's what we did, here's the gaps that we didn't consider, here's the areas we didn't consider, here's how we were able to make sure systems access are removed. It's got to be a real powerful bit of knowledge to bring in. And that kind of gives me a good segue into our next segment, which is achievements around here. I hinted at this at the top for those of you who caught it, but I am with a movie star right now. And so you went through a documentary, The Dark Web Uncovered, and we'll link out to this as well as the books that Leia has authored. You went through this documentary, and when you started, I'm not gonna steal too much thunder, but when you started, you're like, we're just doing this thing. It's not a big deal. But it actually turned out to be kind of a whole big thing. You shared with me that this was a pretty amazing experience. Walk us through what happened.
Right. Well, I mean, so some of my colleagues, because I know IT business owners all over the world, and I think we're some fun people, but fun and interesting bunch, not just geeks. Well, maybe, but we had decided, we're like, let's do a project. There are so many things for us to talk about. We talk about this all the time. We were all friends with a fellow filmmaker. Like we knew him, had a good relationship, and we kind of pitched him the idea. He's like, "This is a great idea." So we were thinking about it as a project. Like, we weren't thinking about it as like we're making a movie, And so he went on location to us. We interviewed interviews individually in different places. We had interviews with clients or other people who had interactions with the dark web, whether it's people who were taken advantage of because of hackers on the dark web, or people that come into the dark web, and some of our clients. And then we had started this project right before COVID. So it took us about 2 years to get done because of the, like,
Oh, yeah.
We were starting like traveling, and then whoop, no, sorry, no travel.
Nope, you're not traveling anymore.
And then so we picked it back up, and it had taken like so long for us to do it. We were not really, I wasn't really thinking about it as making a movie. And then and then there was a period of time during editing where we were not hearing from the filmmaker. We're just going about our lives. And then he surfaces and he's like, I'm ready. And we're like, really? Okay, this is cool. So all right, this is like, so like our thing is done. Our little project is done. This is going to be really neat. So we just, he sets up an LA premiere, like a West Coast, like LA premiere of our movie. And I was still just thinking, oh, that's like so cool. That just sounds like a cool thing, right? But then I get on the plane and I fly to LA, and I'm like, I'm in LA. And then, I wake up, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I wake up, and the hotel was like right on Hollywood Boulevard with all the stars. And I'm like, I'm in Hollywood. Like, legit, I'm in Hollywood. This is like for real. And then like a movie star, I worked by the pool all day. And then that evening, we donned these like amazing dresses, like, and did like a red carpet premiere. We had like, cameras, interviews, signing movie posters, like drinks, and like friends from the area. So like some of my colleagues that live in LA were there. It was like, this is like surreal. This is absolutely freaking surreal. But the weirdest thing was when we went in to do the viewing, and I see myself on the screen.
Oh yeah,
oh my gosh! Like, two things. The first is like I shrunk down in my chair, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the weirdest thing to see myself up there. And the second was like, is that my voice? Do I really sound like that? I sound awful. I sound so bad. Do I really sound that way? I think most people feel that way. I'm like, I don't sound that way to myself. And then afterwards, we all came to the front, those of us that worked on it together, and we did like a Q&A session. And it was just really extraordinary, Ian.
Oh yeah, that's I'm immensely, like, the celebration in me for like, yes, red carpet and the whole thing, and seeing up on the big silver screen. It's super, super cool. I am going to be going to that documentary and grab it and be like,
yeah,
that's right. It's super, like, it's such a fun experience, and Hollywood's my type of town. Like, for those who know me, that Hollywood's my type of town. So we always wrap up at Win talking about the future site. We talked about what we've been working on. We talked about what we just achieved, and then we're looking what's next. And when we were talking in the show notes, you had mentioned that there's a very intentional focus at Intech about CMMC. And for those of you who don't know, CMMC is a federally regulated compliance standard that applies to people who work on the most important parts of our nation's national security. The defense industry, the aerospace industry, the space industry are three big ones that are impacted by this. But it's not just someone like a Boeing that's impacted by this, or a Halliburton or whatever. It's all of the individual contractors and companies that support those industries, because Boeing doesn't make every part of a plane.
Right.
They put it all together and QA it and make sure it works. But there's hundreds and thousands of these individual manufacturers that make components and then send them to Boeing. And everyone who's involved in the process is covered by this. And you had mentioned a pretty interesting statistic, that there's over 100,000 companies that must, not should or could or maybe, you shall comply with this. To quote a little movie, they're like a do or do not. There is no try with CMMC. Right. So talk to us about this. You've built out a whole focus at your business around this. Walk us through it.
So So yeah, the defense so Department of Defense doesn't make anything, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they have war fighters, but they don't make things. They procure them. So that's why we have the private industry, the defense industrial base that makes the stuff. Our government just does not want, those major players like the Halliburtons or the Northrop Grummons, the General Dynamics to just be the only organizations in the supply chain. Also, they just don't have all the capabilities to make things. So that they have this like large part of industry that supports it at some level, whether it's a tier 2 supplier, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
I work with some people that are like 5 and 6 deep in the tier for subs. They're all, if they deal with any kind of federal contract information, then they have to comply with these cybersecurity requirements. And if they have special kinds of information that the government calls CUI, they need to comply with even more rigorous standards. And the thing is that, especially when it gets more rigorous, the organizations are having a lot of difficulty trying to comply with it because they like, this is a heavy lift for my organization. I don't have the money, and there are some people that are walking in that are like, you have to buy all of these things and these expensive solutions, and they're thinking, how am I going to run my business? I'm going to go out of business. In fact, the conference I was at on Tuesday was CMMC Day down in Huntsville, Alabama. I was talking with Stacy Bostanek. She's from the office of the DoD CIO. And she gave us the stat that over the last couple of years, because like they're getting serious about you have to do CMMC, there's been a 40% drop in small business participation in these contracts. 40%.
40%.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is an opportunity for a small business that wants to get in or remains in this in the defense industrial base, because there's these contractual contracts have to get fulfilled. Mm-hmm. So if you can stay in, you have a lot of opportunity. So because we already had a bunch of clients that needed this, I'm thinking of two things. The first thing I'm thinking is I have to I have to create something that is replicable across all of these clients that still meet the rigor, and I can still get them through an assessment, right? Yep. So I need systems and processes to do that. There's so much documentation that needs to be written and maintained, IT policies, plans, procedures, and then you have so many things you have to do on a regular basis in order to maintain this program. And then I also, because companies are paying me to do this, so and they're small businesses, right? We're talking about companies that might be like less than 200 computers. They don't have massive budgets. So I have an obligation to figure out how can we do this in the most efficient and effective, especially cost-effective way. So I put my head down as being a systems and processes girl. Actually, the 7th principle is manage the organization through systems and processes. It actually is. So put my head down and try to figure out, like, what do we have to do? What do we have to do on a regular basis from like the level of my technicians or their employees? What are the kinds of collaborative plans that we have to do on a regular basis to maintain compliance? And then IT policies and what I like to call the Bible, it's going to drive the organization, and then selected solutions that we could put in place that would be affordable. And so we created the CMMC IT documentation toolkit and an actual CMMC compliance program. And the uptake on this is amazing, because this is what these organizations need. They've gotten burnt already because somebody said, I have CMMC in a box, and it was, BS. And they already spent money on that. They're like, I just need help to make this work. And so we're coming in and we're able to do this. And it works, Ian, which again, I get like when you create a process and something and it actually does work, I get like a little bit of chills. I know I'm geeky, but
that's like, you are preaching to your choir. You are preaching to your choir here. That's for those who know my wife, she always pokes me right, like kind of right there, even if it's not with her finger, and goes, your process is really your superpower. You should just embrace it. Just live there. Nice. It's such an impact in an organization that if you embrace it, there's an interesting study, and I love Mr. Twain's analysis of statistics that they're the worst of the lies. But there was an interesting study and a statistic that's actually backed up by research from Harvard Business Review that the impact of process can be measured at 15%, but it's 15% per area touches. So you can get a 15% increase in sales and a 15% increase in customer satisfaction and a 15% increase in delivery of services and a 15% increase in finance and a 15% blah, 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 blah. And that's a per process of implementation. So you can really you get those 5 to 10 key business processes and it stacks really, really, really fast up in an organization where you're 100% better just from developing some wide-ranging processes that go across the business. I love it. I
Right.
love it.
So then we recognize, so we're doing this work, and there's 100,000 organizations in the country that need it, and they need it now. I can't do that. I can't scale to help 100,000 companies. I can't. There's just no way I can do that. It would be a freaking miracle. So I know colleagues around the country, other MSPs that are either doing this work or, to say that they have the same thing, right? Same problem. They have clients that need it and they're like, I'm not sure how to serve them. So we're also teaching them how to use this compliance program too. And not only do they buy the program and they can implement it across all the clients so that it's another source of revenue for them, another service they can offer. They have a high level of trust that they're going to be able to help them to pass an assessment, which you really want. And then on our weekly calls, we're getting better because we're talking about best practices, or we're challenging each other on things, or I've got this client and I don't know if this is compliant. Or my client is refusing to comply, what do I do? Because I believe that the most minds wins, right?
Oh, yeah.
I can't be the smartest one in the room. And when you have two smart people together, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 3 or 4.
100%. And that peer impact, just the sheer amount of rising the tide, hey, if we keep this intellectual property just internally, we'll have this little impact in our space. But by going out and saying, hey, we can help you, I can share this for you, it can benefit me because you're compensated for your intellectual property, but it can benefit your clients and it can benefit you. The sum total of impact that you have on a really key topic, which is the security and preservation of our nation. It doesn't get any more real than that for someone who is a true blue, born and raised in America, and I got nothing but love for the country. That's a huge impact. That's impacting the country. That's super cool.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better way to drop out on this episode. And everyone's going to be like, wow, you were really geeking out there. You were geeking outy and you were a little bit of fanboy there, but that's a super cool impact. And I just, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day, Leia, to come and share it with our viewers and our listeners. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me. And it was fun.
Oh, so it's my privilege to be able to talk to entrepreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur and you're interested in talking with Leia about how she's done this, how she's systematized a process, how she's developed revenue streams, and how she's making a difference, you can reach her. She's got one of the most amazing LinkedIn handles. It's Princess Leia on LinkedIn. You can also go to her company website, which is intechit.net, intechit.net. I apologize, intechit.net. Leia's active in the community. You can reach out to her, or you can always ping me. I'm Ian at arndar.consulting. You can visit our website at arndar.consulting to see other episodes of WIN, grab white papers, blogs, whatever you might want. I'm active on LinkedIn as well. Ping me out there, and I'd be happy to connect with you and happy to connect you with Leia. Leia, thanks again for taking the time today.
My pleasure, Ian.
Oh, it's our pleasure having you. And until next time, take it easy.
You've been listening to Win with Richardson and Richardson. What's important now? We're so glad you've joined us and know you're one step closer to winning big in your business too. We'd love to connect with you outside of the show. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to connect@rnr.consulting. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so you'll easily know when new episodes are available. Until next time, you can win, and we're here to help.